but they had two angles into this, and I think this could be, you know, a little bit of a, not a template, but you know, a little bit of it might open eyes around here to other families that might look at things like this in the same way. Which is, yeah, they thought the idea was good, this online English thing, great, you know, a lot of live teaching, makes sense, etc. So, you know, we'll consider putting some money into that. But the real hook for them was that it's synergistic with their businesses, okay? They're not in e-learning, but they're in the media and marketing businesses. And so they said, look, how about we'll put in this money, but we want a license to market this product through our call centers, okay? And through our retail stores and so on. And we want to buy the media, which is pan-regional cable ads for the most part. And we want that. You know, we're going to set up a separate company basically just to run the license for that business. And this was a big decision, obviously, because, you know, all of a sudden you're not only just taking money, but you're really sort of giving control over a lot of your marketing to a third party. So that was very difficult. But anyway, I don't want to get into all the details, but the point is that it was the potential profit that they could earn from both sides of this, the direct investment in the company and the revenue share. Ultimately, the marketing agreement, the licensing agreement was structured as a revenue share, so they're going to get a percent of the revenues that we generate at Open English. And that declines over time, and you know, we did a lot of things we could to protect ourselves, because you know, we don't want to be necessarily married to this one company forever. But I guess, you know, one thing to potentially draw away from it is I think must be other situations across Latin America where there's, you know, big pools of money in family offices, you know, very wealthy families who have large businesses in the country or regionally. And I think, I should have said before, but most of you know I've been involved in Endeavor for a long time. And Open English isn't an Endeavor company only because it came out of Venezuela. There's no Endeavor there, but I like to think it's affiliated with Endeavor given my involvement, and also Andres went to Miami last year as an observer, et cetera. But I think there's a big role for Endeavor to play in making these connections to young companies, you know, that are looking for money. And they should definitely talk to VCs, both locally and Silicon Valley, wherever. But if there's other connections to family offices and so on in the home country, where they could be the smart money in the sense that, you know, whatever the business is that needs funding, if there's some connection to the businesses of the families, okay, that's synergistic in the case of, you know, they want more product to market and put through their, you know, marketing channels, like in my case, or, you know, it's a business that they could see, you know, bolting on to their existing businesses, but something that gives them insight into the probability the business will work. You know, they're kind of the natural smart money for that young business. Then what's needed then is the introduction and the sponsorship, right? Because there's not a natural connection between, you know, people at the top of society here and necessarily people in the entrepreneurs. And that's the, you know, potentially the Endeavor role, to give legitimacy, say, you know, these are good people, integrity, you know, we've checked it out, and make that. So I think that is you know, potentially a replicable, you know, model, and I think you know, it's another way for Endeavor to go.
It's really interesting. We talked a lot this morning in the workshop we had with the new class of the new Mentor Capital entrepreneurs about the limited partnership structure and how that changes the dynamic. Raul, why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, there's a lot of talk about entrepreneurs doing their due diligence, or excuse me, investors doing their due diligence on entrepreneurs. Unless you're John, they just walk into your office. You know, and we'll hear from Michael a little bit about how he sources deals. But you know, Raul spent a lot of time doing due diligence on his investors, and that's really important in everything from who are the limited partners and what are their parameters. So Raul, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, one of the things that I know the first as an entrepreneur you have, one of the things that is I meet with several entrepreneurs that they were before funded by funds, and I asked them what were the problems they have. And it was extremely open, telling our situation. Very open. This is our business, this is how much I plan to do. I showed them the term sheet, very open. And they tell me, okay, be careful with this, be careful with this, be careful with this. And I have at least like 20 things to be careful with. I went to the VC and I started asking the question, okay, what do you plan with this? What do you plan to do with this? What do you plan to do with this? What do you plan to do with this? And I got the 20 answers for 20 questions, and I said, okay, I think we have some things in common. I think we can process to a deal. And I want to add something about synergies. The fund that we are talking now, that we make the deal, which is called Austral Capital, which is related to Endeavor also. They have several companies in similar space than the one we are. Some of them are complementary. Some of them compete in certain countries, not directly, but at certain point. And it's something that as an entrepreneur you have to be aware of that. It's like sometimes the people do things with general synergies. So it doesn't have to be bad. It can be bad, it can be good. But you know, we have sometimes we talk with other funds that didn't understand what we are trying to do. So when we talked to this fund, it was very easy for them to show the idea and where we're going, because they knew something similar of other companies in that space. So synergies is very important when you're raising money.
Well, that's great. You know, we heard Nick Bine talk about how he calls people who have worked with the entrepreneurs he's considering investing in and just really digs deep on the due diligence. But you know, entrepreneurs really need to be proactive in that process, because even if there aren't many options, there is some leverage in coming to the table very well prepared for one, but also having done a lot of homework about how the fund is structured and you know, even with a list of potential problems from former investments. You know, how did that come off, Raul? Was that well received? Was it you know, when you went through and checked off every challenging part of you know, every bad story, horror story you heard from other entrepreneurs, what was their response?
Honestly, I didn't care.
Wait, you didn't care, or they didn't?
I didn't care about how we respond to that. I just need to get answer for certain questions that I have. That's all. I want to know what you think about this, what you think about this, what you think about this. Just it has to be an honest relationship. Please tell me what you think about these things. And many times, this is something that happens through the deal many times. I sometimes have a discussion with some of the people of the fund, and I say, I disagree with your idea. I disagree. And at some point, two of the people of the fund started fighting against each other because they have different views. So I tried to play this very honestly and say, this is what I'm trying to do, this is where I'm going, this is my plans. And very quiet, you know, and that was very good, because in my case, we didn't need the money. So we had the money, we didn't even touch after 1 month and a half. We were just discussing what we are going to do. So that was very good for us. And that showed when I was negotiating that I didn't need the money, that it was something to grow. And I told them and explained them, and I negotiate very quietly, very quietly. No. If you want to do the deal, we do the deal. If you want to do it, it's okay. Just tell me that you want to do it. It's no problem. And that gives me a lot of leverage in the negotiation.
It's unique, I think, in this world of scarce capital. You know, there's a balance of power that's really heavily weighted toward to the investors. But it sounds like you found, you know, the one piece of leverage you could find and took that.
One of the things that the MCP was great for us. Great. We were talking with the fund, and then we had the MCP in Chile. And at some point I said, do I do this presentation or not? We were almost closing the deal with the fund. So if I do the presentation and do bad, I may lose the deal. But if I do very well, it will give me some leverage into the deal. And I say, let's play, let's go, and let's do the MCP and let's pitch. And we did very well in the pitch, and that was also very good. So the MCP also give us leverage in the negotiation.